Hi, this is Dr. Nicole Neely, and thanks for listening to our show. We are here to talk a little bit about mindset, movement, and muscle, and maybe a few other little fun things along the way. Hello, today we're talking about something that impacts our entire life. Hormones, muscle, mood. It's your brain.
Yes.
Dr. Crifasi, thank you for joining me today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You have so many things you've done. Accolades, degrees, conferences. You wrote this book that's incredible. I can't wait to get through the whole thing. But tell me a little bit, just in general, how does brain health really affect longevity for us?
Brain health is responsible for every action, every reaction, every function, sensation that we have. The perspective we have is based on our brain function. And if we have any kind of an interference with that, what ends up happening is it's askew. Mm-hmm. So if you're used to being a certain way, thinking a certain way, having a certain amount of energy, and then for whatever reason, out of nowhere, perhaps a trauma, emotional, and traumas aren't just concussions, okay? Mm-hmm. Traumas are anything that has a significant impact on the way your body creates hormones, like you said, manages hormones, manages your stress level, or something that may cross that blood-brain barrier could change your perspective, could change your mood. You know, we've all had dynamics with somebody where you're in a great mood, you came back from a vacation and, you know, the cap on the toothpaste didn't bother you. There are other times, there are other things going on in your life, like the sandwich generation, taking care of kids, taking care of parents, trying to manage themselves, their work, etc. And that cap is what puts them over the top. And that's what happens. As a matter of fact, I had a new patient in this morning and she's like, something's changed. I don't know what it is. Must be menopause. Must be this. Somebody said yesterday, I know I had a trauma years ago. I'm not myself. Yeah. And another recent patient said, within 1 year, a friend of mine who seemed okay said, I feel like my memory has changed. I must be getting older. Yeah. 1 year later, he is in a facility and he's not remembering hardly anybody.
Just within a year?
Within 1 year.
Wow.
And
how many times do you see, like you mentioned, she said, oh, my hormones are off. How often do you see people are blaming hormones? Because that's kind of a buzz right now.
Exactly.
But they think, oh, it's my hormones. It must be because that's what everybody's looking at now. But how often is it actually brain health?
Well, like I said, brain health controls everything. So your hormones are going to change, but your metabolism, your activity level, so much can play a part in how your brain interprets those hormones. Mm-hmm. For example, if, just to back up the bus a little bit, right now, 1 out of 3 of us has a brain-based neurodegenerative condition. 1 out of 3
1 out of 3.
So that is costing the economy $67 million a year today. Wow. In the next 25 years, where presumably everybody here in the studio is still going to be here, half our population, 1 out of 2 of us is expected to have that. So we need to protect this. Thankfully, people are going, oh, I think it's my hormones. Oh, I think it's this. And they're like, I want to do something about it.
Yeah.
So that's the benefit. But it's costing us a lot of money and a lot of effort and a lot of relationships. So when somebody can turn around and say, okay, I think it's my hormones, I need to go get checked. Or like somebody said recently, I know I fell off a horse or a horse fell on me, in her past. We've had a few people that have come in that, have had PTSD from domestic relationship issues.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that have careers that are very, very stressful.
Tell me, you used a term, the sandwich generation.
Yeah.
Explain that a little bit and how that is affecting brain health.
Sure. It's both for the caregivers as well as for their parents or their children. Okay. So in this generation right now, I believe the statistic is 64% of women are the responsible party for raising the children predominantly and caring for the patients. If you do research on that, 50% of them are testing positive for stress beyond their cognitive capabilities.
So they're a housewife, they're a mom, they're a businesswoman.
Yeah.
They're doing it all.
They're doing it all.
So they're taking care of their kids, they're working and taking care of their parents probably too.
And 40% of them, these women, I should say, and of course it's men too, but women predominantly take on that role. We're caregivers by nature.
Yeah.
So when we take that role on, there's 25% of them are working full-time, 40% are working part-time, and 17% are having a hard time managing the finances and all of it because they are feeling, or legitimately it is falling upon their shoulders. So we do know also that people that are the caregivers, unfortunately, succumb to health-related issues before the people they're caring for. So brain health, excessive stress, inability to manage that stress is going to, again, go back to the hormonal cascade. We tend not to eat as well, let alone the fact the food that when we were kids, it was nutritionally more robust than it is now. And that being said, we're not eating as well. They're grabbing food on the go. That's creating a leptin resistance, which is then creating stress hormone cascades. And that's not going to be good for their health. And these are the people that are responsible for making sure the kids are growing up with what they need and managing the caregiving aspects to make sure their parents and, unfortunately, those patients, again, let's go to statistically, 33% of those people right now are going to have a brain-based disorder. That's going to involve balance. That's going to involve coordination. A lot of times people are, falling. It's just, all of a sudden they feel they're more clumsy or it's old age. No, there's a reason for that. So a hypothetical situation is the kid comes home from school. The woman's just walked home from school, from work rather. And then she turns around and gets a phone call that, so-and-so has fallen. We've got to take them to the hospital. Stress.
Sure, one after another.
Yeah. So it's very difficult. And
I think this is so relatable to
absolutely.
I mean, even personally, I can tell you I felt that before. And I was on the phone with my mom just yesterday. I go, I think my brain's just broken. I can't think today.
Right. And that's, and that unfortunately becomes a comfortable but inaccurate norm. We just deal with it because we have to deal with so many other things in life right now. We've got to work, the economic strain that's going on, the responsibilities that we all have right now is taking a toll on us. Again, the way we're trying to balance our lives with commutes and things like that, it makes it really hard. But there's options. And that's what we've tried to do, and developing programs for people using clinical neuroscience to give people the opportunity to have a multimodal approach to understanding what's going on with their brain health. Or, again, a lot of people don't even go, I have a brain health issue. It's something's not right. I don't feel right. Something's off is often a very common symptom that we'll hear.
I want to hear more about this because I think we can all relate.
Sure.
We've got that stress. A lot of people come in and be like, hey, something's just wrong. Hormones, something, I hurt when I wake up. Let's say you get someone in your clinic. I walk in and I tell you, my brain's broken. What would you do? What's your first steps?
I would tell you your brain's not broken. It just may not be working right.
Okay. And what do we do?
Well, what we do in our office is we before anybody even comes in, we have you guys starting to think about your brain. So we're going to send you paperwork that's going to assess the different functions of the different lobes of the brain and the brainstem.
Okay.
Get a
just
sense.
by testing?
Well, this is it's just a questionnaire.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a questionnaire. You're going to do that ahead of time. I'm going to take a look at that form, and then I'm going to ask you very provocative questions about what does that mean when you say, I just feel like I have brain fog? What does it mean that you don't feel like you have your memory right? So we're going to try and get to the root of the problem. And then we're going to talk about, dietary measures and the comprehensive aspect of it. The program that we've designed is, again, like I said earlier, a multimodal approach.
Sure.
So we're going to do a brain map on patients. It's called a quantitative electroencephalogram. So there's a cap. It's got 19 locations on it that is going to record in real time your brain activity.
Does it hurt at all?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. I mean, a little goo, but it's all water-based. So
so it's just stuck onto the scalp.
Exactly. So you probably don't want to go on a date or anything like that after, but
crazy head after.
Yeah, crazy hair.
All right.
So you get that done, then we're going to go over that right then and there. It's going to populate.
Results.
Yep, you're going to get immediate results on what that brain scan shows, and whether or not it is something that is of concern, and if it correlates to your symptoms. Because sometimes people feel things, and sometimes we disregard things, and then there's other things that it's just important to know about. So this gives us objectifiable data.
Yeah.
If the patient, qualifies and is receptive to it, then we will schedule a neurological interference assessment, which it uses a balance tracking plate, which is going to see how your body moves under certain stresses that are going to deal with proprioception, where your body thinks and joints think they are in space.
Okay.
It's going to record how your vestibular or balance centers are responding to different environments on the balance tracking plate. And then it's also going to see how your vision plays a part in that. So let's just suppose as we age, our vision typically changes a little bit. How much of a bearing does that have on your balance and your brain health?
Yeah.
So we take that data. Then we also do a 1-page assessment, which is going to check a couple of different things: short-term memory, spatial relations, a little bit of interaction with us. That has a recordable score as well. They all do.
Okay.
And then they're going to come into the room with me, and I'm going to do a lot of bedside examination. We're going to check heart, lungs, blood pressure, pulse oxygenation. We're going to see how the sense of hearing is. And again, a little bit of integrated memory, sense of smell, all the cranial nerves. And then we're going to try and do activities to see if those independent parts of your brain can work independently, and can they work interdependently with other parts of your body and your brain.
Can it all flow together?
Exactly. And then we would come up with whether or not, again, somebody would fit into our plan, which I need to stop doing that. Our Brain Restore program is about using neuroenergetics, which are low-level lasers that do not create any heat. They only allow for healing. And the lasers that we use are thoroughly researched. There's white papers behind them, and they have had no issues recorded. And so it completely helps the cells to heal from the outside. It helps the channels that allow the nutrients that, when we're under oxidative stress, which is an overall term for what we were speaking of before, that stress causes the cells to become depleted and or damaged. So it helps those cells to heal. We have a hyperbaric chamber that we use.
I love hyperbarics.
Yep. And our hyperbaric chamber, it's using a soft shell chamber. So we're not using pure oxygen. We are actually filtrating the oxygen within the room. So it's completely safe. The city of Chandler, that was very important to them that we weren't doing that.
Yeah.
And for us, it gives us peace of mind because, we're also treating other people while people are getting that.
Yeah.
And of course, they are being checked and monitored while they're in there. And that helps the neuroplasticity, the changes in the nerves, like the laser does, like the therapeutic applications we do, using movement and activities in our office.
Tell our listeners how hyperbaric chamber helps the brain.
So you're laying in the chamber, which it feels like you're on an airplane. You're not feeling compressed or anything like that. That's, of course, having a subtle impact on the lymph and the flow of blood and oxygen and nutrients in your system. And then it helps to drive some of the nutrients and the toxic waste into a part of your blood called the plasma, which helps to filtrate the system.
Okay.
Also helps to sort of speed up metabolism a little bit because you're using your glycogen stores to help your body create this energy flow that it needs. And so patients get that as part of the program. Then we are also going to do, from that brain map that we had earlier, we have a program that is going to do a neurofeedback aspect, either auditorily or visually. And again, it depends on the particular makeup and findings that we have with the patients. And some patients can progress between one to the other. But to make sure we get that brain passively firing and used to, when you're in a stressful environment where oftentimes people are like, oh, I can't handle loud, or being outside is too bright for me. It allows us to get a subconscious reaction and an automatic feedback loop that's more positive than when they came in, that caused them to have the need to have the treatments.
So can someone do these treatments even if it's, maybe they haven't had this big event or an injury? Maybe they're just really stressed.
Absolutely.
Will this help?
Absolutely. You know, stress is the number one killer right now.
Yeah.
And people living with oxidative stress, that leads to a lot of the, well, let's back up a little bit. In holistic healthcare, we talk about dis-ease, dysfunction. If you leave that for too long, we lose that hyphen and it becomes dysfunction and disease.
Sure.
So if we can get a handle on that ahead of time, that's going to help the body to function better. That's going to help the circulation, help the oxygenation, because we all know we need oxygen to thrive. We need gravity, we need movement, but we need appropriate movement. So, and I'm not sure if that answered your question or not. So,
definitely. Yeah. So we've got laser, hyperbaric, counseling, like talking, biofeedback.
We've got sensory motor activities that we're doing with them. I call it the walk, talk, chew gum, because sometimes when there's a breakdown in the communication between the lobes of the brain, that's going to execute in inappropriate movements. You know, we've seen kids, backpacks, that's causing a change. Their brain thinks that's normal. They take the backpacks off and they're still sitting like this, right?
Sure.
Then you have patients that have Parkinson's that are, stumped over because their brain thinks that they are falling backwards. So their brain causes them to come forward. Right. Yeah, I know. You and I both, right? So if we tell people then to move and stand up, they can't, because their brain keeps them in that activity loop. So we will do a lot of activities, sensory motor integration, cerebellar integration. We help to manage the pain. A lot of them have, because everything feeds through a part of your brain called the thalamus, which is your pain modulator. Some people that even have chronic pain that nobody seems to understand, or, the medical field just, they can't have something, whatever their dis-ease is. If it doesn't have a box to go into in that profession, they don't know what to do with it. And patients are left to feel unsupported, hopeless. And what we want to do is give people hope for their health. And that's what we're trying to obtain.
What would be the first things you would tell someone? Here's some early signs that you should watch for that say, hey, come talk to me. Like in general, what are those?
Stress that they're not managing. They're not sleeping well at night. Unexplained weight loss or weight gain. Poor sleep patterns. Flying off the handle or not processing at all. I used to like to read, but I can't read anymore. I'm not retaining things. I used to manage my checkbook and I can't, or there's just overall apathy. And that's not a quality of life. Who cares if you live to be 104 if you don't have a quality of life? So it's about making sure that we're living a life that we're enjoying and you have a quality of life. And one of my mantras is your quality of life is directly related to your quality of health. Without one, you cannot have the other.
And the brain kind of controls all that.
It does. And it's whether we're awake or asleep, our brain is always firing. Our feedback loops, our vestibular system, our ocular system, as a matter of fact, that vestibular ocular system is our most active reflex. So when you're dreaming and your eyes are moving in your dream, guess what? You're affecting that. So that's why sleep can play a part in this. So, there's so many things. That's why we're offering a free QEEG scan, free. And then if patients do end up deciding and we feel that they're a candidate and they want to investigate it further, the examination that we do, which is normally roughly $800, we're only offering it for $200.
Wow.
Because we want to be able to help people. That's exactly it. We want to give people the gift of health.
I think too many people think, well, this is normal aging. I'm just getting old. My brain's going to stop. but it doesn't have to
It
be that way.
doesn't have to. As long as we're alive, we have the opportunity to stimulate the brain. 30 years ago, we didn't think that was the case. Clinical neuroscience, as you know, is the fastest growing aspect of healthcare right now.
Yeah.
Because the neurodegenerative changes that are happening is going to supersede cancer and heart disease combined if we cannot get a handle on this. That's not me saying it. That's what the research is and the projections are showing. And that I don't want to be part of that. And I don't want the people around me that I love to be part of that.
Sure.
So we're trying to do our little part, like Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. So thank you.
What's the number one thing that you would tell people to avoid to help your brain?
Sugar.
Good answer.
Because here's the thing is right now, it is believed that sugar is type 3 diabetes and the leading cause of dementia.
Yeah.
And sugar can be fruit, it can be candy, it can be heavy carbs.
Sure.
And when your brain thinks that, when your brain registers that leptin is telling you, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, and it's not stopping it, we start to retain fat, brown fat, which is not the healthy fat.
Yeah.
And then your hypothalamus, which controls your hunger and your satiety cycles, doesn't know when to turn off. That is also where your sleep and wake cycles are. That's where a lot of your mood is. That part of your brain is where your pineal gland, which has to do with a lot of your hormone cascade, comes from.
Yeah.
So do you see how all of this fits together? So, a free brain scan to at least get a benchmark for where you are is really a good place to start. And to know that they have us as a resource, because things can change, traumas can happen, emotional or physical. And so stay away from the sugars.
Avoid sugars, get your brain scan.
Yeah.
Okay, on the flip side, real quick, what then is the number one thing you would tell people to do? If they're not going to come see you, they just want to try something on their own first, what can they do for their brain health besides avoiding sugar?
Move
around.
Okay.
At Power Health, we really, really preach to people. Yeah. Movement is medicine.
Yes,
muscle is medicine. And
and appropriate movement. We want to make sure we're coordinated. And everyone goes, what should I do? What should I do? What's the best exercise? The one you're going to follow through with.
Move.
Whatever it is. You want to start rock climbing, do it safely, but do it.
Yeah.
If getting out and walking is good for you, and just to preface that a little bit, it's best if you're doing something that has a gravitational force. Bicycling and swimming are really good, but that's not putting as much strain on the bones and the joints and the proprioceptors that we spoke about. Yeah. So just getting out and doing something on a regular basis.
I've become an ultra runner, and I tell people that's not for everybody. It's not even healthy for some people, but it's my brain. The running is what keeps my brain. And so this is fascinating. I could talk for days about brain health.
You and I both.
Well, Dr. Crifasi, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear more and maybe come see your place.
Please do.
But thank you so much for giving us some of those quick ideas about brain health. And just remember, keep moving, avoid your sugar, and then come get your brain scan. Thank you.